Okay, we are live, baby, but we'll let it breathe just for a moment here. And then we'll fire off a fresh new episode for you all. Welcome in. It is the Huddle Up Podcast, presented as always by Mile High Huddle. I'm your host, Chad Jensen, with me, my fellow football priest. You know him, you love him. He is the deputy editor of milehighhuddle.com, Zack Kelberman. And Zack, today you had the article for us reporting to our readers the haps on Jonathan Cooper. So we've got injury concerns with Bradley Chubb, even though he's healthy. We've got a still recouping Randy Gregory, and now Cooper's nicked up. Tell everybody what the score is.
Yeah, second time in as many off seasons for Jonathan Cooper. You'll recall last off season after he was drafted in the 7th round, he had a heart ablation procedure, and now he had an operation on his left index finger or ring. I think it's ring finger. Sorry, to repair tendon damage that he suffered during Monday's practice. He more than likely will sit out the remainder of OTAs and probably the mandatory minicamp in June, but he should be good to go for July training camp. But I feel bad for Cooper, man. He came on strong last year. He's trying to ward off the injury bug and carve out a role for himself in that stacked Broncos edge rushing core, and now he's going to be further behind the 8 ball. But thankfully, they have Nick Bonito. They're converting Baron Browning. They picked up Chris Allen as a UDFA. If there is one position where the Broncos can afford a May absence, I think it's the edge rushing core. Sucks for Cooper, but the Broncos should be okay.
Yeah, as long as they can get him back. But you know what? This kind of reminds me of another guy that Trickle was writing about today in his roster profile. This cat right here, Aaron Patrick. And many of you are going, say what now? Who's Aaron Patrick? He's the guy that, despite having done very little to make a measurable impact as a Bronco, he's been shouted out by the GM, called a physical freak by George Payton, given some plaudits and called a core guy by Dwayne Stukes. So, Trickle, in his defense, the news broke today. This article has been sitting in the hopper, so to speak, Zach, for I think 2 or 3 days. So when he first wrote this, there was no injury to report on behalf of Jonathan Cooper. But as I was copy editing this thing to get it published today, hey, it's looking pretty good for Aaron Patrick as far as really trying to secure a path to the roster, at least until Cooper gets healthy. We don't know exactly how long it'll keep him out, but don't sleep on this kid.
Yeah, they'll need a practice squad too. So people are forgetting that some of these late round rookies or UDFAs, if they don't make the 53, they can make the practice squad. I'm pretty sure Patrick has PS eligibility remaining. So
yes, he does, because he was a rookie in 2020.
Yeah, so he should be okay if he carves out a nice role, probably on special teams too. He'll have to pull double duty, as Cooper was as well. But they do have some young talent. I just liked Cooper a lot last year. I was stopping short of anointing him as Von Miller's successor, and obviously the Broncos thought the same because they went out and gave Randy Gregory $70 million. They drafted Nick Bonito in the 2nd round. But Cooper, man, if you look at his stats, what he did on 465 defensive snaps, I mean, sacks, solo tackles for loss. He was an impact player, and I wanted to see what he can do in Evero's scheme in year 2. Unfortunately, we'll have to wait a little longer to see what he looks like.
Yep, I was pleasantly surprised by Jonathan Cooper as a rookie last year. I wasn't really expecting him to make the kind of impact he did early on. Starting really, I'm remembering him week 9, that Dallas game is when he first started popping. Michael Ronquillo, my dog. You are the man. Really appreciate that super chat, my friend. One of our Mount Rushmore super chat superstars. Used to be one of our great supporters on Facebook. Still is. I know he reads the articles and stuff and whatnot, but he's kind of migrated over to YouTube and really stakes his place as a bona fide MHH super chat superstar. And we love you, Mike. He says, good evening. And that's right back at you. Phil is another guy that has been furiously throwing down in superstar status on Facebook. Good to see you, bro. Yep. Appreciate that. Let's ride. He says, go Broncos. Very nice seeing everybody. Kyle Olson jumping in with a super chat early on tonight as well. Kyle, that's a newer name, Zach, right? That's a newer name to our super chat superstars. So even if it's not your first super, it's one of your first supers. So Kyle, welcome. Really appreciate that, my friend. Connect with us on Twitter.
Yeah, I read that as Kyle Orton at first, and I thought, what is he doing here? Does he have nothing better to do than troll the Huddle Up podcast? But good to see you, Kyle. Hope you enjoy the podcast tonight. Any questions, comments, get them in, and we'll address them. Good to see you.
Ben Wallman jumping in too on Facebook. Appreciate the support as always, Ben. He says, don't you think Baron Browning needs to go back to inside linebacker?
Yes.
In a perfect world, yes. I would like him to be able to focus on one gig, because I think the Broncos, Zach, my biggest concern here is they're kind of maybe fooling themselves into thinking that the Micah Parsons phenomenon from last year of a guy that dominated at off ball and dominated at edge, that can just be easily replicated. And especially you see someone as athletic and twitchy as Baron Browning is, I can understand why they would wonder, but just don't put your eggs in the basket and don't put this kid behind the eight ball in terms of he's entering year 2. Let him specialize, let him focus on one thing and get his footing in the league before, you start trying different things. But I really don't think, Zach, it's going to be a full position switch. Like, I don't think they're just moving Browning to edge. He's going to play off-ball linebacker, but they're going to use him on the edge a little bit.
I mean, to your point, it's like drafting a young quarterback and expecting Patrick Mahomes. I mean, there's only one Patrick Mahomes. There's only one Micah Parsons. Those are generational talents. I'm not saying Baron Browning can't be or isn't, but let's not set the expectation too high. That's not fair to Baron Browning. He's learning a new position. He played, I think, really well at off ball last year. I know he has college experience off the edge, but the Broncos are fine. I just think it's curious. After paying Randy Gregory that money, they have Nick Bonito now. They have Malik Reed, who they brought back as an RFA. Why do you need him at edge? Why are you DeMarcus Walkering Baron Browning? Leave him at one spot where you're already weak. He was the first inside linebacker the Broncos had in years. Chad, years, literal years, that can cover players, that can run sideline to sideline. I wouldn't mess with what's not broken, but the Broncos did just that. We'll have to see how it plays out.
Hey, we do appreciate you guys being with us here tonight. As Dylan mentions, while you're here participating in this conversation and enjoying the content, like the video, especially if you're on YouTube and Facebook, helps us in a big, bad way. People wondering what the announcement is that we teased on Twitter. Let's get into it. So here's what's going on, guys. This is the last Wednesday you're going to get the Huddle Up podcast. What that means is Zach and I, who have done 4 nights a week at 6 p.m. Mountain to 7 p.m., we're vacating the Wednesday slot on our evening podcast programming because 2 reasons. One, Mile High Insiders has been toiling away for a couple of years now. They just crossed their 100th episode. And Saturdays, I know so many of you patronize the Mile High Insiders, and you're there as often as you can be on Saturdays, but it's hard to get it's hard to cultivate the audience when people are busy on Saturdays. That's when they're out doing their thing. They're, camping, they're fishing, they're hunting, and even the hosts themselves, it puts a serious kink in the tail of a young family man like Luke and Nick, who might want to do things on the weekends, but they have been solid. They've stuck to it for years. And so Zach and I, we're giving them Wednesday night. So you're getting one less Huddle Up podcast per week, but that's the stick, so to speak. The carrot, Zach, is we have some really big plans coming that we'll be able to fully announce to you guys here in the next couple of weeks. And the takeaway, we'll call it a teaser for now, is even though you're losing us on Wednesday nights, you're going to end up getting way more of us than what you're even getting now. Okay. Once we make our announcement, and that'll happen about the time we're getting ready for training camp. So Zach, there it is. Cat's out of the bag.
Yeah. Y'all are left hanging off the cliff, and I would love to throw you my hand and help you up, but I got to leave you there. I don't want to talk about it too much. We can't talk about it too much just yet, but Chad and I are both really, really excited about what's to come. We're really pumped. We want to talk about it with you guys, but I promise it's good news. It's a good thing for Broncos country. It's a good thing for us. We're excited. Stay tuned for more.
Yep. It's going to be cool, guys. So in the short term, it's big congrats to Luke and Nick for working their tails off for a couple of years on Saturday nights, and now being able to move to Wednesdays. It's just going to be great. By the way, Gary, we saw that you got some star support in for the morning show. or this morning. Yeah, right before Kim, and they were signing off, and they didn't get a chance to give you a shout out. So here's your shout out, my friend. You know we love you, we appreciate you. GLP, you the man. But guys, when you find out when we're able to finally unveil what our plan is, what's happening, all right, you guys are going to be stoked. Trust me, you're going to be really excited. All right, but there are things in the works that for now, just for maybe even only as short as a week, we can't tell you. But once a certain domino falls, we'll be able to.
Can't wait for it. And we already have a dividend of the pod's cast schedule will change. Mark Knapp says, great, I can watch the Jayhawks lose on Saturdays. That's pretty funny, Mark. Yeah, we're excited. Mile High Insiders definitely deserve it. They've earned the time slot. I wish them nothing but the best. And I'm just excited, Chad, for what we have cooking. Can't wait to tell you guys more about it. Seriously.
Yes, indeed. So again, last Wednesday for the Huddle Up podcast. But the other thing to consider is, when Zach and I first started doing our podcast as a live stream, we wanted to make sure that we were live streaming on every day that there would be a football game. And so the one day that we have, broadcast to you guys each and every week that does not include a game during the NFL season is Wednesdays. So that is why we decided we had to drop one. That's the one we wanted to drop. So when the season rolls around, we're still going to be here for the gut reaction Sunday nights. On the Monday night games, we're still going to be here for the gut reaction Monday nights, and the same for Thursday and Thursday nights. So it's only in the short term that it's going to feel like we're not on as often.
And I without giving too much away, in the interim, between weeks, you'll have a lot more of us. That I can say that we're excited about. We'll have more to come on that soon.
All right. So, Zach, back to the Haps. And guys, just for now, feel free to ask us questions, but we can't really tell you anything more than that for now in terms of what we got planned. But again, reach out to Nick, reach out to Luke on social media after tonight's stream and give them some props because this is a really big development for them and they deserve it. Yeah. Zach, on the subject of this defense, so we see the Broncos having one of their depth edge rushers go down. Very unfortunate. He'll be back. It's not the end of the world type of injury. It's not something you want to see, but he'll be back. DJ Jones, brand new, fresh, shiny free agent nose tackle the Broncos signed from the Niners, is praising Dre'Mont Jones. So I just wanted to grab this real quick from Keith Cummings, who published this article earlier. DJ, when asked about his brother in Jones, they're not really brothers, but you get my point. He said, quote, Dre'Mont, he's very disruptive. I love it. I've told him many, many times that my old coach would love him. I'm glad he's here with me, and I'm glad I'm here with him. I'm glad I'm here with this group, close quote. But, Zach, I thought it was kind of cool right off the cuff. It ended up being the very first topic that was broached with DJ Jones. And that word right there, disruptive, that's what we want to see from Dre'Mont this year, whether it's in the running game, disrupting the rushing attack from opponents, or just being a nuisance in the backfield, especially as a pass rusher too.
He's been a nuisance for the first string offensive line during OTA practices this week. I don't know if we can pull up the video, but the Broncos put out day 2 highlights from yesterday, and Dre'Mont Jones is getting after the quarterback. It's non-contact. It's very informal of a practice, but Dre'Mont's pushing the pocket, man. He's disruptive. He's everything DJ Jones explained him to be. He's everything proponents like Chad and myself thought Dre'Mont can be in the right scheme. This is why I don't want Akeem Hicks. I don't want anyone taking Dre'Mont's spot as the man in the middle of the Broncos defense on that line. He's in, I think, for a Pro Bowl season, 8 to 10 sacks. Aaron Donald light. That's what Dre'Mont Jones can be. No hyperbole.
Now, this was from the day 2 highlights, right?
Yeah, and Bradley Chubb also got in there as well. And it's great interaction he has with Nathaniel Hackett. So fun to watch.
Let's check it out real quick, guys. Let's check this out together. No music, but just check it out. Hopefully you guys can see this, okay?
This is Jalen Virgil, by the way, undrafted rookie receiver, making a big impact.
Man, it's just so cool, dude, seeing Russ back there spinning it, baby.
Put some respect on Tim Patrick's name.
That's right. Timmy P. Nice little dump off.
Screens,
Alberto. Boom. Mixing it up a little bit there. Some contact.
Chad.
Bam. Yes, indeed.
Again, baby.
Smoking. Oh, ripping. Look at him go.
Ripping it.
Hitting Tyree Cleveland. Jeez.
Even some Josh Johnson highlights.
Josh hitting Cortland. Nice little tip. Ooh. 39. Oh, baby.
I don't know if it's in this highlight, the Dre'Mont thing, but I know Bradley Chubb is. And look
Let's
at that
see.
escapability, baby.
There's
There it
there's
is.
Bradley. What's he?
He had a
He look.
sack.
Look at
It's
Hackett.
great.
Hackett, man.
And look at this, by the way. That's
Boom.
Courtland Sutton beating Patrick Surtain, who's all over him. This guy's in
Dude.
for a Pro Bowl season, I think. 1,000-yard
Yeah,
receiver,
bro.
1,200-yard receiver. Can't wait to watch this offense, man.
No doubt about it, dude. Courtland Sutton, it's like we get that question ever so often. Who's going to be Russ's number one? It's going to be Sutton. But who's going to be number two? I don't think it'll be Tim Patrick. Who do you think it'll be, though, Zach?
In an ideal world, you want Jerry Jones, your former first-round pick, to be the number two, especially after all he's been through. But look at the chemistry already forming between Russell Wilson and Tim Patrick. And Tim Patrick does it with any quarterback that's throwing him the ball. Whether it's Joe Flacco, Drew Lock, or now Russell Wilson, he just makes plays. So I think Jerry Jeudy has the higher ceiling as the number two, but Tim Patrick's floor is really high as well.
Albert wants to know when the next meet and greet is going to be in case of reserving parking spots and such. It's going to be, the next one is going to be in September. Well, it's either going to be the last game in September or the first game in October. We haven't for sure nailed it down yet. But Albert, because it's you, we'll make sure that we'll have a date in place. If not tomorrow night, we'll have a date in place Sunday. Okay, here we are sitting on Wednesday. Tomorrow night we'll be back, and then we're off till Sunday. By Sunday, we'll have a for sure answer for you on the meet and greet. But we're going to try and plan two this season.
At least, yeah.
Why not, Zach? Because it's Russ, dude. It's going to be a whirlwind. This season, dude, is going to be like so fun to cover and just experience with you guys.
Yeah, I mean, Albert, you and you made it a huge part of why it was so successful and so much fun the first time, and we will definitely have at least one. We're hoping for two, if not more. We know you'll be there. Can't wait to meet you again, hang out with you in all of Broncos country and what should be the playoff season for the Broncos.
And yes, we will be trotting out our coveted, treasured custom mailboxes that Albert made for us that he brought with him to the very first one. One has my name, one has Zach's name. It's going to be cool. We can't wait. And by the way, Big Earn, hopefully one of these days you'll get a chance to come to one of these meet and greets. I know you're not in Denver, so maybe one of these times we'll do a meet and greet hangout on the road. But if we were, what do you think, Zach, before we grab Andrew? Would our odds of being able to engage with Broncos fans be higher doing a Vegas road game or a LA road game?
I saw a lot of Broncos jerseys in Vegas for the draft. I don't know. I would say probably Vegas, enemy territory. I'm not saying that on a personal level. I don't think that LA would be the hangout for Broncos fans.
As we grab Andrew here, real quick, I want to give you guys the update on our Facebook contest. As you know, we're trying to reach 200,000 stars this month on Facebook. Stars are like super chats, but for Facebook, it's another way to support the podcast, to support Mile High Huddle. And we're trying to get to 200,000. If we do, we're going to raffle off a Broncos jersey of the winner's choosing. Could be a Demaryius Thomas jersey, which I have a few still. They're very hard to come by, trust. We're at 40% complete to the goal. So we're really going to have to push. I'm starting to have now real doubts that we're going to hit it this month. But if we do hit it, the only people in the running for that raffle are those who contributed to the goal, like GLP, number one, going to have the most tickets in the hat if it started tomorrow or we did it tonight. Tim Hoffman right behind him. Phil McLaughlin right there as well. Mark Schrader, Jacob Foster, the silent one in the top 5. So that gives you an idea of what the rankings are on the Facebook contest, etc. Now, where did that? I had to click him off so I could read that off. Where'd Andrew go? Now I got to find him. There he is. Andrew, you the man, bro. What's up, fam? Who should win the right tackle job? Not the best 3 gunning for it, but who is the best one? Hashtag MHH for life. Love it, dude. You know, it's funny because, you know, I love how symbiotic our community is, because so many of these topics that are on people's minds, you know, they're also on our minds. Today, article published by Zach Kicks, Z-A-C-H.
I had one too.
Well, this one about the right tackle, it's a film breakdown of the 3 leading candidates. Who are they? Billy Turner, Tom Compton, and Calvin Anderson. And Zach, after kind of reading that, I actually felt much more bullish about Tom Compton. I still think their plan is to roll with Billy Turner, and then you can update the whole injury thing. But I'm kind of pulling for Tom Compton just because of what he can do in the running game. And you got Russ back there. You don't need like elite shutdown right tackle because it's not blindside. He's escapable. I kind of like Tom Compton. If you guys haven't read that Zach Hicks film breakdown, go to milehighhuddle.com after tonight's stream and check it out.
Yeah, you don't need one until you need one. And when Russ starts running for his life, and we've seen the right tackle disasters in Denver the last half decade, I think it will be Billy Turner, but as I wrote today, he's still mending a knee injury that dates back to last season. Nathaniel Hackett said they're taking it day by day and playing it by ear, whatever that means. They're keeping him in mothballs. And rotating at right tackle with the first string has been Tom Compton, Ben Braden, a converted guard who signed this offseason, and Sebastian Gutierrez. Now, if you're saying who, I don't blame you. He's from Minot State, a D2 school. He was a converted receiver, and now he's playing tackle and getting first-string reps in Denver. This is why I've been begging the Broncos to invest a premium pick in that spot for years. They don't want to do it. All things being equal, considering how Nathaniel Hackett literally raved and said Billy is the best, Turner was signed to be the right tackle. Failing that, I can get on board with Compton because he knows Butch Berry, the new OL coach from the 49ers. They came over together, but that's still not – I mean, you're talking about a swing guy playing right tackle on a full-time basis. I'm not going to sleep comfortably with Tom Compton as the right tackle.
Go read the article. It's worth – because it's a give and take, with any guy that ends up winning the job. Because with Billy, you're getting a more polished pass protector, but nowhere near as effective, especially in zone, of a run blocker that Tom Compton is. You get to Tom, hey, not as great of a pass protector, although he's no schlub, but he really shines as a pass or as a run blocker, pardon me. And when I say really shines, like you go watch the film of him run blocking in that wide zone scheme in San Francisco, and you're going to have flashbacks to what it was like during the Mike Shanahan era in Denver. Like he's just a perfect, natural, athletic, smart, headsy, really, really intriguing right tackle option. So whatever, I'm going to be okay with either one of those two guys. One of Zach Hicks' takeaways from breaking down the film on Calvin Anderson, though, Zach, probably best to just let him kind of, if he's going to stick, let him back up Garrett Bowles and play on the left side. And then we'll grab Kendrick.
Problem with Calvin, he was missing in action too. He has some sort of undisclosed injury. I saw on Twitter it might be a broken nose or some sort of nasal injury, but he's out of the picture too. So that's why they're rotating Braden, Compton, and Gutierrez. This is why they should have invested a high-round draft pick at tackle, but c'est la vie, I guess. Get well soon, Billy Turner.
Where is Kendrick? Oh, wait a minute. Here he is. Kendrick Ware jumping in. What's up, bro? Good to see you. Appreciate the super chat, my dog. Kendrick. He says, what's up, my guys? Happy days have arrived when we can look at current Broncos highlights with realistic high hopes. LOL. Bold prediction. Where do you think our defense ranks in the NFL? Hashtag MHH for life. Love that, bro. Appreciate you. Hard to say, dude. Hard to say. Just because, if we were, let's say there was no coaching change, and it was still Vic coaching the defense. That was our big gripe with Vic is he was a great head coach of the defense. You couldn't be the head coach of the team, but head coach of the defense. And even that, Zach, was probably quite overrated.
Was he?
But if it was still Vic, I would feel a little bit more confident in trying to project like, hey, for sure, top 10 unit. I'm not quite as certain because I just don't know what to fully expect from Ejiro. How does he say it? Hackett said it, and he's known him forever. Ejiro Evero. But we do know it's built on the bones of this Fangio scheme, so it's not going to look all that different. I think, Zach, if the stars align, if the Broncos get a little smiling down on them from the football gods in the luck department, and they can avoid that injury bug, this could very well be a top 5 defense. It really could. And especially if you got Russ putting pressure on opponents and putting up points and Broncos can be predatory and get after teams trying to catch up. I mean, that equation, we've seen how it works in the past.
I hate to answer a question with a question, but rank where in what category. In takeaways, I think they'll be up there. In sacks, I think they'll be up there. Interceptions, I think they'll be up there. Scoring, they might fall from, I think they were third or fourth in 2021 under Vic. They might fall to like 7th or 10th, whatever. But it's hard to screw up what was already a foundationally good defense. You've added more talent to it. You have players like Patrick Surtain taking a step forward more than likely in year 2. I don't see how they fall off a cliff at all. I think they get better in certain areas. They take away the ball more. They're more aggressive under Evero. I think they're going to rank collectively, if you want to talk about total defense or yards per game, I think they'll rank top 10 in most categories, maybe even top 5.
That was always my beef with Vic's defenses in Denver anyway, was where are the sacks and where are the takeaways? And those two things are, so often tied together. But he didn't ever have, Zach, that 2018 coming out party like he did that year with the Bears, at least in Denver. Savage Boy Kev on Twitch. What's up, bro? He says, can we take this time to watch and cherish the beautiful throws that Russ made today? Hey, we already watched it once, but hopefully you got to see that. I don't want to turn on the music, because if the music's on, it could have a copyright and that could get us in trouble. But that's why I muted it. But still, hopefully you got to see that, Kev. And yes, we can still relish, appreciate, cherish that.
Did y'all see the moon balls, though? I mean, his deep ball really is as advertised. He can launch one with the best of them. And to me, after watching all the quarterbacks we've been forced to witness, Chad, it's football porn as far as I'm concerned.
Love it. It is just so good to see quarterback competency. And that's not to throw shade on Teddy, throw shade on Drew, and any of the past. I mean, they're all competent in they're in the pros for a reason. But I mean, where you've got like a real star back there running stuff for your team, dude. Like I'm getting the Peyton feels again. Phil, what's up, bro? Thank you again. We love you. He says, Chad, I watched Kim on Beckoning the Broncos on replay today. She does an awesome job. Any chance you can arrange some guests for her? I'm not pushing for me, LOL, just for her. Appreciate that. Glad that you are enjoying. That was only her second episode. And, we're trying something a little bit different with our 2 new morning shows, Beckoning the Broncos on Wednesday and Legends of Mile High on Friday with Tom. And that is no co-host to start anyway, and see how that goes. And in both cases, we're not asking them to hold down an hour, right, alone, which with you guys in the chat, you're never alone, but you see what I'm saying? It's just, we don't want to expose them too much just being solo, because it's not easy to just stand there with a microphone in front of you and a light on and talk for an hour, especially if people aren't busy in the chat and giving you a lot of good stuff to talk about. That becomes a grind, or it can be. But so far, so good. Kim's done a great job holding it down, kind of keeping it around the 30 to 40-minute mark, and the same for Tom. I know Tom's got a big guest coming up that he's going to announce on Friday. That's going to be fun. Stay tuned for that, guys. But yeah, glad to hear the feedback on Kim's show. She's does a great job. She's really excited about it. So appreciate you guys.
Yeah, we like to give people the autonomy to do what they want on their shows. So, I mean, Phil, if you want to bring that up to Kim, she might go for it. She might not. But yeah, she's doing a great job so far. And I'm glad you're liking the content.
Zach, I know the other dudes got to this earlier this week. Ben, you demand, bro. Thank you very much for those stars. Very generous, my friend. Seriously, thank you. I know that the Monday dudes, Monday morning, I think it was Broncos for breakfast. It could have been the Tuesday morning Broncos for breakfast. Either way, earlier this week, they covered this topic. Peter King of NBC Sports ranks Broncos number 14.
Ridiculous.
In his NFL power rankings, which dead last in the AFC West. So real quick, let me just run this by everybody, and then I want to get your thoughts here. So Peter King, and this is courtesy of Dylan Von Arx, shout out, moderating on YouTube as we speak. The entire AFC West in King's power rankings are in the top 15. The Chargers and Chiefs rank second and third, respectively. So, Zach, he's got the freaking Chargers number 2 overall in the league, dude, in the Lizzig. All right. And then the Raiders at 13. And then your Denver Broncos at 14. And as someone who, I've always respected Peter King, especially as a storyteller. I've been reading him since his days at Sports Illustrated back in the day, dude. Like, Peter King is the man. But I'm really scratching my head on this one, dude.
I mean, what bothers me more, honestly, than the Broncos being at 14 is LA at 2. I mean, based on what? Based on what? How are they the second best team in the NFL? Tell me, Peter, please. And I love how Peter, in his column where that came from, he prefaced the power rankings by saying he's not good at power rankings. Well, maybe you shouldn't do them then, because you're not good at them. You're pretty terrible at them. Why? Why? I don't even have words to describe putting LA at number 2. Some of them I can get with. And the Eagles, by the way, at 8 or 9, whatever they are, 7, 8, 9, it's ridiculous. Based on what? And to have the Broncos at 14 with Russell Wilson? Don't get it. Don't understand it.
He ranks second the team that he notes in the headline, or in the header, I should say, were out of the playoffs last year. I mean, come on, dude. Look, I know Peter King, he probably has an editor that just polishes up grammar and stuff before they hit the old publish button over there at NBC Sports or Pro Football Talk, whatever. But like somebody there should have said, wait, Pete, you sure Chargers at number 2? Here's what he said real quick, though. 2 teams that attack their needs better than any other this offseason, the Chargers and the Eagles, which is why both are in my top 10. He says the Chargers, I thought, needed to do significant surgery coming off a playoffless season, and the GM did. I thought he won this offseason. He needed to, particularly on defense, do that. Only the Jets and Lions gave up more points than LA's 27 per game, and a collapse on defense down the stretch knocked the Chargers out of the playoffs. So trading for Khalil Mack, though a bit of a health gamble, gives him a 1-2 pass rush tandem with Joey Bosa, as good as any team in football, he says. And then he goes on to also notate the bulking up with Sebastian Joseph Day on the D-line, Austin Johnson, J.C. Jackson, the former Patriots Pro Bowl corner, hopefully pairing well with the second-year Asante Samuel Jr. But, Zach, all of this, did they improve? Sure. On paper, they improved.
Hypothetically, yeah.
Number 2, give me a freaking break, dude.
I had to check Spot Track to make sure Peter King wasn't repping Justin Herbert. How do you put the Chargers at number 2, man? Like he made the point himself. Out of the playoffs, collapsed down the stretch. Coaching was a big part of that as well. And if you want to trust Brandon Staley to handle the personalities like J.C. Jackson, Khalil Mack, all those coming together, if you think he's going to be the coach that's going to make that recipe with those ingredients, God help you. I don't see it at all.
Mm-mm. I mean, I would definitely not put the Chargers over Tampa Bay in my overall NFL power rankings with Tom coming back. Cincinnati, the defending AFC champs, at number 7. We'll see. And I get having some Cincy skepticism because, they were a Cinderella story going from, literally a worst to first type situation there. But
when's the last time LA won a playoff game?
Dude,
legit question.
You know what? I'll Google it.
Because you're putting a team that reached the Super Bowl below a team that hasn't won a playoff game, and we can't even remember off the top of our heads. It's that bad.
So let's go to Pro Football Reference. George Fox, you the man. Appreciate you, big dog. Let's go to Pro Football Reference because they tend to know a thing or two about this. So let's see. 2018 was their last appearance, and they did defeat the Ravens. So they won the wild card 3 years ago.
So 4 years.
So that was Rivers last year, right? And then 19, right? No, that wasn't his last year. The next year was his last year. 2019 was Phillip Rivers' last year because Herbert was drafted in 2020, and that was his final year playing for the Colts, and then this past season, 21. Anyway, but there's your answer.
How many playoff wins does Justin Herbert have? As many as you and I.
Yeah.
And you're going to put him above Tom Brady and Patrick Mahomes, and it's ridiculous. I'm shocked that Peter King's name is attached to this power ranking. I really am. It's that bad.
It's pretty cringe. Chase says, wasn't that Lamar's first playoff game? Let's see. 2018. Yeah, it was.
I mean, win's a win, but 4 years ago.
Yeah,
ancient
it was.
history.
Yeah, because he was a first-round pick that year.
Let him hate, baby. Let him hate.
And then their previous last playoff win from there, for what it's worth, for the Chargers, 2013, preceded by 2008. Yeah, so anyway, the Chargers, as you guys know, when people – it's not going to be the last time you're going to see a writer from the national perspective hyping up the Chargers. Anytime we get asked about that, I'm going to tell you the same thing. When it comes to the Chargers, shout out Pat Burns, my homie who's a huge Chargers fan, but when it comes to the Chargers and predicting them to be any kind of a juggernaut, I believe it when I see it. I am the doubting Thomas when it comes to that team.
Chad, now do Philly. What's the excuse for them? They're in the top 10. I think they're 7 or 8 or 9, whatever. Based on what? What has Nick Sirianni done? I like Jalen Hurts, but what has he really done to warrant that ranking? So I don't know if it's just the Herbert love or the Chargers love, or Peter King is he's losing his fastball, I feel like. A little
no
bit.
doubt. For what it's worth, Philly did make the playoffs. Pardon me. He says, I see the Eagles as the team to beat in the NFC East. Hurts.
That's not saying much.
Just enough to be a C+ quarterback. What the?
Yeah.
Wait, hold on.
Top 10 team, though.
I see Jalen Hurts doing just enough to be a C+ quarterback with the addition of A.J. Brown, formerly of Tennessee. I see the receiving core of Brown, Devontae Smith, Quez Watkins, and Zach Pascal being good enough to make the Eagles a top 10-0. He sees Hassan Reddick returning to his prime. James Bradbury, who was picked up off the kind of scrap heap after he was released, cornerback, to make this the best defense in the NFC East. Okay, whatever. I don't know that they'll be better than Dallas's defense, but what I like, here's what he says. What I like about what the Eagles have done this offseason, they've created a team with a legit chance of winning now, with a legit offense to make a judgment on Jalen Hurts as the future. So you don't even know if Jalen's the future, like the guy for this team, and you're putting him number 9.
Well, my thing is, how are they going to have a top 10 offense with a C+ quarterback? You can't have one without the other unless that running game goes crazy, and that didn't happen last year. And the only reason they got into the postseason was because the NFC East was trash last year, really, really bad. And to make the case that might be the best team in that division is not saying much. I don't know what Peter King's on.
Many contradictions and logical fallacies on this one, Zach. Yeah. New Orleans at 11, Tennessee at 12. I mean, even putting the Chargers over Tennessee to me is laughable. Seriously. Vegas, I think, it's somewhere in the top 15 is about right for Vegas, although I still remain in a most skeptical holding pattern on all things Josh McDaniels and his homie Dave Ziegler. And then the Broncos, let's read some of this real quick. When the Broncos look back at the Russ trade, they should be grateful not only for getting the durable Wilson. Seattle games in the last 10 years, he started 176. Wilson starts in the last 10 years, Seattle games in the last 10 years, 176. Wilson starts in the last 10 years, 174. But also for not giving up left tackle Garrett Bowles or one of 3 plum receivers. I never heard that word used. I don't even know what that means, dude. But anyway, tight end Noah Fant and defensive end Shelby Harris are nice pieces, but were worth Wilson, along, of course, with denuding 2 drafts. You pay what you have to for a quarterback. Now, can Wilson hit the ground running? Let's look at new Denver head coach Nathaniel Hackett's hands-on history. In 2019, the LaFleur Hackett first year in Green Bay, Rodgers, Aaron, took 2.92 seconds from snap to throw, which is a lot, and averaged 7.2 yards per attempt. By 2020, Rodgers' first 2 straight MVP years. Man, some of the verbiage here, like his vernacular, like his prose, is a little disjointed, dude. The time to throw was down to 2.68 seconds, and his yards per attempt was up to 8.1. Both very good. Wilson has to learn the Hackett way fast to hit the ground running in a impossible division. Zach.
Smell that? Smells like bias to me. Seriously, I don't know.
Weird.
He's saying that Russell Wilson needs to hit the ground running, but yet Philadelphia will have a top 10 offense with Jalen Hurts, and Justin Herbert is going to command the second best team in the NFL. Whatever, Peter. That's your opinion, man.
He's got Dallas at 15. Let's see where – I'm just out of curiosity. Let's see the Colts, who had a nice little offseason. Oh, wait a minute. Ranked 21st overall. It's a great cliche in the league, but so true about the Colts. They'll go as far as the QB takes them. After a 3-year, 27-23 post-luck run, yeah, we know. 37-year-old Matt Ryan comes in. Look, dude, I could see Indianapolis in terms of power rankings definitely being higher than Detroit, definitely being higher than Minnesota, Cleveland, New England, Miami for certain, maybe up there like barely around the top 15, like, put them either at 15 or 16, something like that. Anyway, we're probably making too much out of this, but
Yeah.
it's fun to talk about.
It is, and he's getting what he wanted, which is discussion and interaction, verbal clickbait. That's what it is.
Lawrence says, and pardon me, it's good to see you, my friend. He says, I get that Hackett needs to choose better plays to get the ball out quicker. He got out of that. Yeah, I don't know. I'm not going to try and put my get in Peter King's head right now, but I think one of the similarities, Zach, between Aaron Rodgers and Russell Wilson, for what it's worth, is they're both really good when the play breaks down and you get another play begins, to quote Cortland Sutton. So if it's not there right away, the read, and he needs to tuck it or he needs to pause or he needs to scramble, Russ is that's when he's at his most dangerous, to be honest, is when things get off schedule by a hair and it's go play some backyard football. Boom, dagger, boom, scramble, pick up 9 yards, reach the ball out to make sure you get it. Russ is going to be a freaking animal this year. Trust.
Yeah, I'm pretty comfortable in saying that he's more mobile than Aaron Rodgers. He's a few years younger. He's always been, I think, more mobile. But you can also make the case that this supporting cast in Denver is more talented than what Rodgers has in Green Bay. So he might not have to get the ball out quicker. He might design plays where you get the ball in their hands immediately, or you have a 7-step drop. Whatever Russ feels comfortable with, Hackett will call. The good thing is he has players on every level, tight end, receiver, running back, that can make chicken salad.
Make hay while the sun's a shining. Anthony says, let him hate while we feast on what Russ cooks up for us. Let's ride MHH for life. GLP says he doesn't know Wilson or understand what is happening. Exactly. He doesn't. And that's okay. We want him sleeping. We want him hating. It's just fuel for the fire, And look, the Broncos, honestly, with Russ's leadership in that building, they don't particularly need the bulletin board material, Zach, like external motivation, but every little bit helps. That team's pretty fired up, dude. And like just hearing Cortland Sutton, Nick made a point of this yesterday when I forwarded the email quotes out to everybody. And we had DJ Jones and we had Cortland Sutton remarks from yesterday. And DJ Jones was like, when he would get asked a question, he'd give 2-3 sentences, maybe 4, and they're pretty short. Meanwhile, anytime Cortland was talking, man, it was like massive paragraphs, right? And one of the things he was talking about, though, is just, again, the obsession with winning. So it's like by osmosis, right? Russell Wilson comes in who has an obsession with winning, and it translates to everybody, trickles down to the entire team. And I can't wait to see how that comes out in the wash on game days.
What do I always say about the national media? You guys have heard it many, many times by now, ad nauseum. They don't know what they're talking about. Peter King is one of the more revered reporters and writers in NFL history, but his comments on the Broncos aren't immune to criticism. And listing him at 14 and listing the Chargers to 2 and some of the other teams he had there is mind-boggling.
Yeah, when your thoughts get so crazy and trapped inside your mind, just like a bottle or whatever. Dude, I like that movie. It's so dumb, but I love it. I love it. The Queen and the Hizzy.
You got to
great to see you.
There is no other option. If you want to win, you want to win it all. You want to be the best in the world as a team and everything else. There is no other option. So that's what we have to do, and it's a wild obsession every day, and also too the ability to also be able to enjoy the moments as well. To be able to push to the edge and not fall off the edge, to be able the ability to work so hard that you're gassed at the end of practice, but then to be able to take your time and recover and just enjoy the process of being able to play this game. The ability to just get extra work before practice, after practice, get extra work in the weight room, whatever. Take care of your mind and your body and your soul. It's a lifestyle. Winning's a lifestyle. It's not even. I think that it's bigger than just the ability to compete. It's also the ability to understand the habits of winning. There's habits that have to occur. There's no other option. I think that's what winners do, and that's what a winning football team does. And I think that's what we're trying to do. We're trying to build right now in the midst of it all.
I'm ready. Let's go run through a wall. Make it a brick wall. Let's go.
Take care of your chickens, to quote Marshawn Lynch. We got the Queen, though, in the building. Christy, so good to see you. $10 super. Thank you so much. Hope you're doing well. We love you. The podcast is not the same without you, and it's always so much better with you. It's good to see you. Thank you again.
Yep. Hope the girls are doing well. Hope you are also doing well and getting ready to start what is hopefully going to be a really fun summer for everybody. I'm stoked. My kids are excited for summer. Got a lot of different things planned this particular year, but Christy, great to see you. Phil says, you got to be kidding me. Raiders at 13, the one team I'm thinking we will sweep. King must have been smoking some funny weed. Yeah.
I don't see old Peter lighting up a do, but that's just me.
Look, don't sleep on the Raiders anymore. Guys, if last year getting swept by a Raiders squad coached by a special teams interim head coach wasn't enough to remind you that team, as currently constructed from a personnel perspective, I get it. McDaniel's coming in, bringing Ziegler with him and all that. But from a personnel perspective, that team is pretty well built, to be honest with you. Good enough to smack the Broncos around, have their way with the Broncos last year. So don't sleep completely on the Raiders. But look, who knows? If Josh McDaniels learned his lesson, there was a reason he was coveted as a head coaching prospect in 2010, and why the Indianapolis Colts risked making a-holes out of themselves, right, when he left them hanging, and why the Raiders rolled out the Brinks truck for him. Like, we probably shouldn't sleep on it, but that's only there, Zach. That only matters if he learned from the past, if he learned from his just horrible tenure in Denver.
I'll make it really simple. A team without Tom McMahon is greater than symbol a team with Tom McMahon, and they hired Tom McMahon. Russell Wilson as a quarterback, greater than symbol Derek Carr. I feel like Peter King just saw the flashy moves, Khalil Mack in LA and Devontae Adams to Vegas, and he got smitten by that, but then he ignored arguably the biggest move, which was Russell Wilson going to Denver, and he says, well, Wilson has to hit the ground running with Hackett. Thanks, Peter.
Yeah, Tyler, we feel you. Venom Seeker is talking about how is Buffalo not in the top 5 of King's rankings? Yeah.
That's crazy. That's crazy.
Dude, what's going on, bro? Great to see you. Thank you for the super chat, my friend. It all helps keep the lights on here at MHH, especially with the time we put into our live stream podcast. You guys keep us going day in, day out. So thank you, Huero. He says, finally, I'm able to catch you guys live again. Yeah, we have missed you. He says, I can't watch Kim's show live, but we'll definitely watch after the fact. Question: how triggered are you if our first snap is a fake Jerry Jeudy jet sweep? Don't get Kelberman started.
Why? There's no way. I don't know. I'd be pretty triggered, but I can't envision Nathaniel Hackett doing anything from the previous regime. He can dream in his sleep a better play call for Jerry Jeudy than anything Pat Shurmur came up with. So I happen to think the first play of the season could be a pass to Jerry Jeudy, something down the middle, something to exploit his playmaking ability, something the Broncos have not done to this point. So I'm not going to even entertain that, Huero. Positive vibes only.
Seeing a few people who have joined the stream a little bit late saying who got hurt, because that's what the stream's titled around. In case you missed it, second-year rush linebacker Jonathan Cooper suffered a finger injury, tendon, and he's going to require surgery. So we don't know for sure yet, Zach, how long he's going to be out. But, yeah, Jonathan Cooper. So there's no Randy Gregory. There's no Jonathan Cooper. Bradley Chubb still at the top. Nick Benito, Malik Reed, Aaron Patrick. Those, if you had to play footy ball tomorrow, that's your 4 edge rushers.
I'd be shocked if Cooper is out longer than training camp. He's going to be out probably. I mean, he had tendon surgery on his ring finger. It shouldn't be a debilitating injury. I think he'll be fine this summer, fine for preseason. Hopefully he picks up on what he did last year, because, again, I'm a fan of Cooper. What he does off the edge as a pass rusher, as a potential game breaker, has a ceiling in Evero's scheme.
This is true. All right, we're sitting here at 48 minutes. Before we start winding it down, though, Zach, I want to make sure there's a few topics. Again, I want to remind everybody, go read the Zach Hicks film breakdown on the Broncos right tackle situation and the 3 guys who are throwing their hat in the ring. I can promise you'll learn a lot, be educated, and edified. But, Zach, we've talked a little bit about this real quick before we get out of here. Headline from Zach: Broncos playing it by ear on projected starting right tackle Billy Turner's knee injury. So he has been absent from the start of OTAs. What is the team saying? What can fans expect from Big Billy Turner?
Yeah, Hackett's not concerned about it. I feel like if the calendar was September and not May, there'd be a bigger deal because, again, you're rotating the likes of Sebastian Gutierrez and Ben Braden to right tackle. But if you read the praise that Hackett has for Turner, who he played with in Green Bay, this is your right tackle. And hopefully it's nothing worse than a lingering injury from last year. Don't forget, he was cut from the Packers with a failed injury designation, a failed physical. So he hasn't been healthy in quite a while. He was limited, if you watch the tape, during the Packers playoff loss to the 49ers. They signed, I don't want to say damaged goods, but they signed an injury risk in Billy Turner, and they're hinging their entire right tackle position more than likely on Turner getting healthy. Again, it's not a big deal right now on May 25th, but it's something to monitor going forward for sure.
Yeah. Billy Turner, I tell you what, if you've ever been within spitting distance of this man when he's all suited up and in his armor and in his pads and everything, he is an enormous, imposing human being. And the cool thing about him is when he was in Denver, he played a little right tackle his first stint, but they ended up liking him at left guard more. This literally immediately preceded the Dalton Reisner era. And he's always been, for as big and strong and powerful as he is, he's always been remarkably light on his feet and athletic. So he could end up being a really solid right tackle solution for this team, but I'm not sleeping on Tom Compton. Jeff Noyes, bro, he says with a super chat, I'm just doing what I can. What you're doing, my friend, it means a lot to us. It's not a small thing. We don't take it for granted. Thank you for being a super chat superstar. It's great to see you in the chat tonight. Much love.
Thank you, Jeff, for sure. Have a great night. Good to see you.
The Queen says, hey, guys, great work lately, keeping us informed and up to date. I have been enjoying catching up on all my Broncos stuff in my free time. Love it. Thank you, Christy. Appreciate you.
Free time's tough to come by, so we definitely appreciate you giving us your free time right now. Love you, Christy.
Moss Def. Ian Garrett says, yo, I think he's saying, what's up, everyone? I haven't been in here for a while. It's my birthday today. Go Broncos. Hey, it's your birthday. Shout hooray. Ian, happy birthday to you, my friend. Shout out. That's dope.
Happy birthday, man.
Zach, last thing. We touched on this on Monday, but
a lot of articles being written at the old website.
Oh, indeed. We're cranking, dude.
Yes, sir.
We're cranking. No stone left unturned when it comes to covering your Denver Broncos. So Kelberman's article from a couple days ago or yesterday. Broncos coach Nathaniel Hackett not sweating the OTA absences and reminding everybody this is all voluntary. But in case you guys missed it, a few of the notable names that have missed some, if not all, of this week's OTAs, which again, they are voluntary. Bradley Chubb missed day one. We saw him day two, though, for what it's worth. Kareem missed day one. Did we see him day two? I'm trying to remember now.
I don't think he was back yet, no.
And then Melvin Gordon, for sure, day one. I don't remember seeing him day two either. So no. Melvin Gordon.
He's too busy.
Here's what he said.
Podcasting.
That's right. Hackett said, though, this is all voluntary. It's one of those things. And the great thing is that a lot of those guys communicated and talked with me. That's all I can ask. So whoever's here, we're going to coach them and have some fun. Those guys reached out to me and it is voluntary. So he's really trying to keep a lid on it, not making more of what it is, but it is conspicuous, especially I think for Melvin Gordon. You know, why aren't you there, dude? Seriously, Melvin, what's up?
I'll try to contain my rage, but there's no reason for Melvin Gordon not to be there. You know, Kareem Jackson has family obligations. Randy Gregory can't practice. Those are valid excuses. But when you're Melvin Gordon and you're coming back after languishing on the market and you beg to come back and play with your former college teammate, Russell Wilson, play in that backfield with Javonte Williams, you don't show up to the first set of OTAs, the first team-wide set of practices. I know it's this thing. It's just not a thing that I can get on board with. But the one absence I'm kind of like baffled by is Brandon McManus. What's up with him? Like, why is he not there? Don't get it. Should be there.
Well, he has no competition, right? They don't have. I mean, in the case of Sam Martin, they brought in a punter. I can't even remember that dude's
part
name.
Of the team, though. Get out.
I agree. No, I'm not making excuses. Definitely not making excuses. But in terms of his psychology, whatever he's got going on, that's more important than being there for voluntary OTAs. He's thinking, what do I got to worry about? I'm the team NFLPA rep, and I don't have any competition on the roster. But you know what? Hackett says he said they've all communicated with me. I've talked with them. So we got to assume that includes Brandon McManus, but I wouldn't be as worried about head coach. If I'm Brandon McManus, I'd be worried a little bit about special teams coordinator, Dwayne Stukes, and getting off on the right foot with that dude, because he does not strike me as the type of guy with whom you want to get cross or sideways with.
Definitely not, no. But like you said, he has no competition. McManus is like the relic from the SB50 team. You know, he's old guard in Denver. I think he's pretty safe. But I'm just a proponent of, if you're healthy enough to play, if you don't have another obligation, nothing else going on, get out there. Get on the field with your teammates, man.
Amen. Gary Blah Blah up in Canada, north of the 49th parallel, proving Broncos country is not a geographic location. It is a state of being. He says, I'm a little bit late, but what's up with McTelvin Agim? Third year, former third-round pick. Some people are penciling him in as a starter. So you go Dre'Mont, one end position, nose tackle DJ, and then penciling in McTelvin Agim as that other starter. I've seen absolutely nothing from Agim that would lead me to pencil him in for anything even remotely starter. I think right now the leader in the clubhouse, like if they had to play football tomorrow, it would probably be Mike Purcell at that other starting job. But Owuzurike, the fourth-round pick, that's my dark horse to win that job. Agim, though, look, he is potential out the you know what, but he just hasn't been able to put it all together. Eric Trickle in his roster profile breaking down Agim. Gary, I would suggest go read that at milehuddle.com. One of the things he talks about, though, Zach, did Eric, is Agim kind of got into the doghouse of the previous coaching staff, even though it was the Fangio regime that drafted him. Somehow he ended up in the doghouse, saw very little action in his first 2 years. Maybe that changes this time around. We'll see. And maybe Marcus Dixon, the new defensive line coach, can get more out of him than what, say, the man who once wrestled a bear was able to.
I would like to see what McTelvin Agim can do, given the opportunity, because like you mentioned, he's been buried in the doghouse, but it's not a good sign. The writing's been on the wall, I think, under the Hackett regime, and they have no loyalty to McTelvin. Obviously, they didn't draft him. They didn't coach him up. They weren't around for his first couple of years, but they brought in DJ Jones. They brought back Deshaun Williams. They brought in, they drafted Owuzurike and Henningsen. They still have Mike Purcell. That's a lot of bodies on the defensive line. You wonder where Agim fits in. I'm right there with you. He's done nothing to warrant a roster lock status. In fact, the opposite. I think he could be on the bubble when it's all said and done.
Last thing here, guys, and then we're going to dip out for tonight. Michael says Chris Allen, the undrafted rookie from Alabama, will make the Denver Broncos roster as an undrafted free agent. Zach, as we talk about the pecking order and the power rankings for Denver within the edge room, maybe he's another guy we shouldn't sleep on, but he's injured right now. So that's the thing. It's hard to – they did pay him a lot for an undrafted rookie, but when you're injured, it's hard to get too excited about it. He'll be on the practice squad as his floor, but out of camp, making the roster, only if he's able to participate in training camp to a great degree and, of course, preseason. And if he does, then, the cream rises to the top. And if he's creaming, hey, we'll see it come out in the wash.
What's the best ability, Chad? Availability. And you can't make the club from the what?
That's right.
From the
tub,
baby. Yeah, it's not a drone microphone, by the way. We have the background set up on StreamYard. It looks like it. There is a mic arm on this, but I don't know. Messing around with the old look.
Guys, we're going to dip out of here, but before Zach gets to our rundown as we say goodbye, just want to remind everybody, in case you missed the top of the show, this is the last Huddle Up podcast ever on a Wednesday. We are no longer going to be streaming this show on Wednesday nights. It's going to be Mile High Insiders, moving from Saturday nights to Wednesday nights. And so even though Zach and I are paring down our evening podcast to 3 nights a week, Sunday, Monday, and Thursday, we're going to be announcing here in the next week or two something that's very cool development. You're going to be getting a lot more of us is basically the takeaway. But big props to the MHI dudes they'll be on Wednesday night starting next week. And as soon as we are able to tell you the big news, we will let that cat out of the bag.
Yeah, looking forward to watching Luke and Nick on Wednesdays, but really looking forward to disclosing with you guys what we have cooking. It's really exciting. I think you guys will love it. But that was the Huddle Up podcast tonight. last Wednesday podcast in Huddle Up Pod history. But don't fear, we're back on tomorrow night, same time, same place, 6 o'clock Mountain, 8 o'clock Eastern. Until that time, follow us on Twitter at Huddle Up Pod. You can follow the main account on Twitter at Mile High Huddle. You can follow Chad on Twitter at Chad and Jensen. You can follow myself at Kelberman NFL. Follow Scott on Twitter at Scout Kennedy. If you guys want some merch, you guys know what it is. You guys know where it is. HuddleUpPod.com. Get your merch on right now. And Facebook.com/Mile High Huddle Pod. Like that page and follow that page. Guys, if you haven't, please go to Apple Podcasts and leave your football priest a 5-star review for a chance to win some merch each and every month. But as you see ticking below you, please do these 3 things. Subscribe, like, and share this video and every video you see on the MHH channel. It really helps us grow and reach more Broncos fans just like you.
That it does, guys. Small little thing you can do that helps us out in a big, bad way, like in that video. Before we dip on out of here, want to shout out all of our great supporters on Facebook and YouTube. And the Queen says, had to come by. Special last Wednesday show.
It's only
That's
right.
true.
We got royalty in the house.
Shout out to these great supporters. Here's how it finished tonight. Phil McLaughlin on top again. Love it. Thank you, Phil. GLP, Ben Wallman, Anthony Grove, Andrew Baker, and George Fox. And then a shout out to our great Super Chat superstars. The Queen being one of the Mount Rushmore. Everyone knows Christy. Michael Ronquillo also up there on the Mount Rushmore. Kyle Olson. Kendrick, where is he? He's right there. Kendrick Ware. Cuero Vidal, Jeff Noyes, and Gary Blah Blah. Much love and respect. Appreciate you guys.
Take care. And as always, guys, go Broncos.